And there we are getting you those latest pictures of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who's reached Imphal. In fact, shortly from now, he will also be delivering that address. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has arrived in Imphal, and this is a very important visit. First, he was in Mizoram, then in Manipur, and now in Imphal. Prime Minister Narendra Modi especially touching down where the focus, of course, is on development, but most importantly, the message of peace that he puts out, where he has urged all outfits to ensure peace in Manipur is what he said. He also highlighted how he said that he is with the people. And now we are getting you those pictures from Imphal, where Prime Minister Narendra Modi is speaking to the victims of violence in Imphal. Remember, this is his first visit to the state since the 2023 ethnic violence. The opposition has been criticizing him for not reviewing the situation, but Prime Minister Narendra Modi there putting out the message of peace, of development, and of wellness of all people in this region. Prime Minister Narendra Modi also laid down and inaugurated projects worth 7,300 crore rupees. Now he is also set to address a public gathering in Imphal, where he will be inaugurating projects worth 1,200 crore rupees in Imphal. He's just touched down, and shortly from now he will inaugurate and lay the foundation stone of several projects to the tune of 1,200 crore rupees in Imphal. Just a short while ago, when he was in Manipur, he had said that Manipur was scarred by unrest, but largely Prime Minister reiterating the message of peace, saying, "I'm with you." He says that it is hope and aspiration that must lead the people who have been at the suffering end. Let me cut across to Indrajit Kundu as we stay with these pictures. Indrajit, Prime Minister interacting with the victims of violence in Imphal. Take us through the details of what is happening there.
Well, that's right. It's part of his, two-city program. First, he was in Churachandpur. He did the same, where he met the internally displaced people and then addressed the gathering there. And now he's meeting those who were homeless, those who have not been able to return to their homes. The meitei from the meitei community, they are gathered here. They have been brought here by the government, and the Prime Minister interacting with them. Shortly after which, the Prime Minister will be addressing the gathering at the historic Kangla Fort behind me. The Prime Minister, of course, would be kicking off about 1,200 crore worth of infrastructure projects. The total, worth of the projects for Manipur today, which the Prime Minister would be inaugurating and laying the foundation stone off, and would be around 8,500 crores. So this is, in a sense, a big infrastructure push as far as the central government is concerned. The Prime Minister, of course, would be, giving his message of peace. We heard him in Churachandpur, where he spoke about and made an appeal to all the communities to come on the negotiation table because peace is the only way for progress, is what he said. One can only expect that the Prime Minister will reiterate what he has said in Churachandpur here in the Manipur capital of Infra.
Continue talking to us, Indrajit, because like you're saying that the weather has not been conducive in that sense, but huge crowds that have gathered to listen into what Prime Minister Narendra Modi has to say. Meanwhile, the opposition upping the ante. In fact, Congress also staged protests, so much so that the security had to be heightened. We now understand that the protests are quite in control. What is the situation like?
Well, that's right. Firstly, there was a political war of words that has ensued with the opposition Congress party, of course, hitting out at the BJP, at the Prime Minister, saying that this is too little, too late, and also the way the Prime Minister's visit has been designed by the central government. They say this only normalizes, or rather it's an attempt to make the crisis invisible. The Prime Minister's infrastructure push, the fact that he is here to inaugurate certain projects, they are saying that that is not the need of the hour. Of course, infrastructure and development are necessary. But the precursor, of course, is peace, to establish peace. And what they are saying is that the Prime Minister should have met all the stakeholders available in this crisis and show that gesture. So that's the Congress on its part. There were some Congress workers who also, with posters and placards in their hand, protested right outside this venue. Where the Congress party headquarters, of course, is not very far away from the location where we are. So they were contained within the Congress headquarters premises by police and additional CRPF security. Now things have, of course, calmed down, and the Prime Minister, of course, is inside the venue, attending the event, and shortly from now, he will be addressing the crowd who have gathered here. And I can tell you, I was there inside the Kangla Fort just a short while back. The former Chief Minister Biren Singh himself was overseeing the situation. I did have a word with him. So, the entire venue is full of water right now. There is waterlogging in certain areas. It's raining heavily since morning. But despite all this, the inclement weather, people, BJP supporters of Prime Minister Modi, they have gathered in large number inside the event venue right now just to listen to him. And the significance of this program is not lost to anybody because it comes 2 years after ethnic conflict broke out in the state. And as I said, it is also politically significant. It may not be a political program, but the BJP and the ruling administration here hopes that this will only be able to rejig and re-energize the BJP Karyakarta, ordinary Karyakarta on the ground. Because 7 months back, the BJP Chief Minister N. Biren Singh, he had to tender his resignation and his government was dismissed and President's rule was imposed. So the BJP does not have a government here, while they hope that they will be able to, somehow cobble up support sometime in the future and once again stake claim. But till such time that happens, the BJP would want to re-energize their cadre base on the ground. And what better way to do that through the Prime Minister's visit today. Suesha.
Talking about inclement weather, Indrajit, Prime Minister also referring to how he could not take to the chopper because of the weather, and he rather cherished the fact that he had to take the road route because it helped him interact with people a lot more, and that is what he's there to tell the people, that I'm with you. That is the message that he largely puts out.
Well, absolutely. Make no mistake about that. This is a very significant visit. And the fact that, there was a lot of apprehension that whether the Prime Minister's program will actually go through, whether he will be able to make his way to Churachandpur, given the kind of weather that we are seeing since yesterday. Of course, he couldn't visit Churachandpur using his helicopter, but he did decide to land in Imphal. And mind you, from Imphal to Churachandpur, it's about 2 hours. And the Prime Minister did insist on taking the road route because of the kind of significance that he attaches to this trip. And that is something that is being read by many as very, very important. So the Prime Minister went to Churachandpur, attended the program there, no matter how the weather was. Since yesterday, when I was personally there in Churachandpur, I saw how difficult it was for the district administration to make preparations at the ground due to the heavy rain. And then what happened was the similar situation was witnessed here. There were efforts being made to somehow drain the water because the field on which the Prime Minister's event is scheduled a short while from now, it's completely soggy right now. Everybody who has come, you can see people who are slowly making their way out, some of them, because they couldn't enter at the last moment. They're all wearing rain jackets, raincoats. Because it's a high-profile visit, the Prime Minister is protected by the SPG. A lot of restrictions there. People can't enter with umbrellas. So they had to literally get drenched in rain, but nonetheless, it did not deter them. So, as I said, Manipur eagerly awaits to hear from the Prime Minister today. One leg of his journey is over. The second leg is just about to begin when Prime Minister begins his speech here at the Kangla Fort anytime now.
Indrajit, I request you to stay on with us. We'll play out some of the excerpts of Prime Minister's address at Churachandpur, after which I come back to you.
भारत सरकार आपके साथ है, मणिपुर के लोगों के साथ है। साथियों, मणिपुर में जिंदगी को फिर से पटरी पर लाने के लिए भारत सरकार हर संभव प्रयास कर रही है। जो बेघर हो गए ऐसे परिवारों के लिए 7,000 नए घर बनाने के लिए हमारी सरकार मदद दे रही है। हाल में ही करीब 3,000 करोड़ रुपए का स्पेशल पैकेज भी स्वीकृत किया गया है। विस्थापितों की मदद के लिए 500 करोड़ रुपए का विशेष प्रावधान किया गया है। साथियों, मैं मणिपुर के ट्राइबल नौजवानों के सपने और उनके संघर्षों के बारे में अच्छी तरह जानता हूं। आपकी चिंताओं को दूर करने के लिए अलग अलग समाधानों पर काम हो रहे हैं। मणिपुर की ये धरती, ये क्षेत्र आशा और उम्मीद की भूमि है, लेकिन दुर्भाग्य से हिंसा ने इस शानदार इलाके को अपनी चपेट में ले लिया था। मैं उन प्रभावित लोगों से मिला हूं जो कैंप्स में रह रहे हैं। उनसे बातचीत के बाद मैं कह सकता हूं कि उम्मीद और विश्वास की नई सुबह मणिपुर में दस्तक दे रही है। मैं सभी संगठनों से अपील करूंगा कि शांति के रास्ते पर आगे बढ़कर अपने सपनों को पूरा करें, अपने बच्चों के भविष्य को सुनिश्चित करें। और मैं आज आपको वादा करता हूं, मैं आपके साथ हूं।
And we also get you these live pictures coming in from Imphal on the left of your screens, where huge crowds have gathered to listen in to Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who is set to deliver that address shortly. As I also stay with my colleague Indrajit Kundu, who's tracking every development there in Imphal. Prime Minister Narendra Modi largely putting out a message of peace and progress and huge sums of money that have been channeled towards infra projects that have been inaugurated earlier in Manipur and now in Imphal, that he is set to inaugurate projects to the tune of 1,200 crore rupees. Prime Minister saying that development projects would transform the lives of people, and these are key projects in the state that are dedicated towards infrastructure and improving access to healthcare. On the left of your screens are live pictures coming in from Imphal. Prime Minister Narendra Modi being felicitated, and as he is on the dais shortly from now, he will be delivering that address in Imphal. Indrajit, I want to come back to you. As we stay with these pictures, very correctly that you pointed out that despite the weather, against all odds, large crowds that have gathered to listen in to what Prime Minister Narendra Modi has to say, and of course the big development push, projects to the tune of 1,200 crore rupees to be inaugurated in Imphal.
Well, that's right. As I said, it's a big infrastructure push. It has taken 7 months since President's rule were imposed in Manipur. Slowly we are seeing some sort of normalcy being restored in both the sides. But there is always a concern as to how to bridge the ethnic gap. Now, as I was hearing the Prime Minister's speech at Churachandpur, he did talk about Ummeed and Vishwas, hope and trust. Now, those two are the key areas, or perhaps the theme of Prime Minister's message during this historic visit to the state. It is historic or landmark in a sense because the Prime Minister chose this occasion. It's been 2 years and the entire opposition has been hitting out at the Prime Minister, saying that why did he not visit? We heard just a short while back Priyanka Gandhi. We've spoken to the Congress leadership here in Manipur. Everybody was hitting out at the Prime Minister and the BJP, saying that the Prime Minister should have visited the state earlier. Nonetheless, better late than never. The Prime Minister has come here. I've been speaking to a cross-section of people out here. They have all welcomed this visit, saying that some of the issues which are difficult ones, which are there on the negotiation table, these needs to be highlighted. Now, these may not be, issues that can be solved within a few weeks' time or with just one visit by the Prime Minister. While the Kuki community have been steadfast in their demand of a separate administration, complete separation and separate administration from mostly the Meitei-dominated administration in the valley. On the other hand, the Meitei community has been sticking to their demand that there has to be complete territorial integrity of Manipur, and they do not, and they will never support any division of Manipur. So these are issues that requires a deft political handling. The first step, of course, would be to restore peace and normalcy, and that's what the Prime Minister said. That think about the future of your children and allow normalcy to prevail. I have been covering Manipur for over a decade right now, and I've seen the people here in the state are extremely resilient. Manipur has seen months and months of economic blockade on several highways. This is not something which is new. Now that in the past 2 years, what we have seen is the unfolding of a humongous humanitarian crisis through the ethnic conflict. That was never seen before. But what Manipur had witnessed earlier was long-standing economic blockades. And therefore, people are resilient. They have been able to sift through these challenges, and they are now slowly picking up on the remains of their lives through the 2 years of ethnic strife that the state has witnessed. Now that things are slowly returning to normalcy, one can only hope that the central government and the president's rule that's in place in Manipur will be able to give fillip to the state's infrastructure. And most importantly, the process for a political solution to the kind of demands that have been raised by both sides will be settled. One can still move freely between the valley and the hills. There are multiple checkposts. We personally face at least 6 to 7 such checkposts where you have to show your ID card. It almost feels like a foreign land. Now, that should not be the case for any Indian citizen who has the constitutional right guaranteed in the constitution for free movement. But a Meitei Indian citizen cannot freely move and go to Churachandpur or the Hill District. Similarly, a Kuki Indian citizen cannot move freely and come to the Imphal Valley. So there is huge amount of mistrust between these two communities, which have been ravaged by violence perpetrated by both these, and they were under unsocial and miscreants and elements. So this trust deficit is something that needs to be bridged, and gap needs to be bridged. And we hope that when the Prime Minister speaks and delivers his speech at this very venue, the historic Kangla Fort, because it is steeped in history of Meitei culture and Manipuri history. So the historic significance of this location is not lost on anybody. The only point is that once Prime Minister leaves, will the peace process get accelerated? Will there be some political solution? And will people from both sides of the ethnic divide, will they be able to once again coexist peacefully? Will Meiteis be able to live in the houses that they have left behind, which have been, burnt in Kuki-dominated hill districts? Will the Kuki Zoo community be able to come to Imphal Valley once again and access the airport? Imagine the difficulty, the very normal, days of life. Anybody who needs to go to any other place, say suppose Calcutta or Delhi for, students, any Kuki student will not be able to come to Imphal and access the airport. They will have to take the long route, which is a treacherous terrain, to Aizawl, to Mizoram in the neighboring state, and then fly out of the Aizawl airport. So this is the crisis that people have actually braved for the past 2 years. That is what requires a solution right now. And one can only hope that the Prime Minister's visit will be able to provide some acceleration to a process of peace and reconciliation between these two communities. Suesha.
Oh yes, completely agree with you, Indrajit. In fact, the internal strife in Manipur and the loss of lives that was heartbreaking for the entire country, and a solution to bring the communities together is obviously what everyone awaits an answer on. Prime Minister Narendra Modi time and again as part of this visit emphasizing on the need for further development, and that is why the inauguration of these key projects, because he also says that this will help transform people's lives. In fact, I also want to quote him on when he said that Manipur is a border state. Connectivity has been a major challenge and people have faced a lack of good roads, which is why he said that his government has used the two-pronged strategy since 2014, where budgetary allocations have been for roads and railways in Manipur, by expanding last mile rural connectivity to ensure that that gap gets bridged. Indrajit?
Well, absolutely. That is the emphasis. And infrastructure will play a key role because Manipur for long, or the Northeast in general for long, has been yearning for some of the mega infrastructure projects. Remember, this morning the Prime Minister was in Mizoram. So now Mizoram is a neighboring state to Manipur. It's also taken 78 years for Mizoram's capital, Aizawl, to get connected on the railway grid. Imagine the new railway circuit that was inaugurated by the Prime Minister today with Sairang station, which is barely about 20 kilometers from Aizawl, that connects the Mizoram capital with the railway grid of India. So with this, India's farthest eastern corner gets connected to India's railway system. Now this is very, very important, but it has taken 78 years. 78 years after independence, this has happened. This at a time when on the other side of the border in China, we are seeing massive infrastructure push and development that's taking place. So it has security ramifications, it has ramifications for our economy in the far-flung regions of the Northeast. So therefore, infrastructure, these key infrastructure projects which have gained pace in the past 1 decade under the Modi government is something that has been time and again highlighted by the NDA government, and the Prime Minister once again driving home that point that infrastructure development will help in the economic growth of the region. And that's why 8,500 crore rupees worth of infrastructure projects will be kicked off and inaugurated by the Prime Minister today at this very program. So as I said, this is a government program, but also the political significance of it is not lost on anybody, because the BJP really wants to, re-energize its cadre base here in the state, because 7 months back, its elected Chief Minister, the BJP government, that had to be dismissed. The Chief Minister had to resign, and President's rule was imposed. What was touted initially as a double-engine success became the worst example of the double-engine Sarkar in recent years, because Manipur for last 2 years have been engulfed in the ethnic crisis. So, as I said, people on ground trying to piece together their lives, and the Prime Minister's visit is just a continuation of that very project, because the last 7 months, the central government has taken control of the administration in the state. Of course, Ajay Bhalla, sending Ajay Bhalla as the governor of Manipur was a part of that very key strategy, because he was with the MHA, so he knew a thing or two about the security. And as you just mentioned, that Manipur shares a very long border with Myanmar. And all through this conflict that we have been following over the past 2 years, we've seen how even Biren Singh, when he was the Chief Minister, he would continuously say that the Myanmar border was porous. Why is it not being sealed? And how is it that the allegation was that illegal arms were being smuggled through the Myanmar border, and terrorists were also moving in. You see in Myanmar, there is a political crisis, there is a junta government, there is a continuous, fight going on between the rebels and the juntas, and often what we see is that a lot of people come in from the other side. So that was a concern. So in order to demilitarize this area, especially the border areas, there has been an effort by the state administration. There have been several drives, in fact, by the administration calling on people and citizens who had actually taken up arms. There are so many insurgent groups, underground groups with who the central government now has a suspension of operation or SOO agreement. So this Manipur is not an easy state. It's a very, very complex society. It's a complex state, an insurgency-prone state, a bordering state. So these are challenges that are now directly in front of the central government, because Manipur is now under president's rule, and therefore who better to answer all these things or provide hope than the head of the state, and none other than the Prime Minister. So he's here, and we are awaiting his address at the gathering here in Imphal shortly.
Oh yes, absolutely, Indrajit. Meanwhile, the opposition having left no stone unturned to go all out to criticize this visit, from calling it tokenism to saying that it is a whitewash of the crisis, to saying that the Prime Minister is visiting Manipur to divert public attention. Criticism coming in full swing from the opposition to even the protests that were staged on the ground.
Well, absolutely. The Congress did protest on the ground. In fact, we could play out the interview with Bimal Akoijam, who is the MP, Congress MP from Inner Manipur. He's back in the state. In fact, he got an invite, he told us, last night from the state government, inviting him to attend this program and also the one at Churachandpur. I did ask him whether or not he will be able to attend that program. He said that he wishes he could attend the program as a meitei in Churachandpur, but he had asked for additional security to be provided to him, apart from the one that he already enjoys as an MP. But this is where, the mistrust comes in, because there is still so much of animosity and mistrust between these two communities, the Meitei groups here in the valley and the Kuki Zoo tribal community, that even though the dialogue process is on and several rounds of negotiations have come underway, there is a SOO agreement that has been carried out with some of the underground organizations. The arms have been recovered. So quite a lot of activity has taken place in the past 7 months, but a lot needs to be done, especially to somehow bridge the gap. And perhaps one factor that could initiate this entire process is the return of the internally displaced people. Will they be able to return to their own places? The onus clearly lies on the government, the administration. They will have to ensure that if one single Meitei Indian citizen, if they wish to visit Churachandpur, get back to their house in those areas which had been vandalized, broken down, that the government will be able to provide them security. It's the same with the Kuki Zoo community. Whoever was working here 2 years back when the crisis first unfolded, they were attacked, they were targeted here in Imphal and in the valley. They had all fled to Churachandpur. Will the state administration be able to guarantee their safety and security if they return to their homes in those areas, in those localities where they were in large numbers? So this has to happen. Unless that happens, unless people are still there in the relief camps, and relief camps are operational in Manipur, I don't think there will be a sense of closure. And also, what about justice for those hundreds of people who have died, who have given their lives in this conflict? There are more than 200 people who have died in this conflict. What about closure and justice for those families? Those cases are on. You remember that horrific visual of 2 women being paraded naked on this, somewhere in the suburbs of Manipur, in the rural belt, and they were molested and they were gang raped. Those cases are pending before the courts. What about justice? Will that be expedited? So there are so many issues, unpleasant ones and that, which also needs to be discussed, unlike not just the glim and glamour and this huge event that has today been put out by the state government. They have left no stone unturned to make this a success. Massive security preparation, huge amount of crowd being mobilized to come and attend the Prime Minister's program. But But these are all temporary things, because when the Prime Minister leaves and leaves with the message of peace, which is very, very important, coming as it is from the head of the state, these are the issues, as I enumerated, will have to be looked at, and the onus clearly lies on the government. And here, under President's rule, it is the central government which will have to answer these very difficult questions and probably also provide solutions to them.
Very correct. Indrajit, very correct, and agree with every point that you said. In fact, the incident that you mentioned had jolted the entire country and sent shockwaves of what had happened during those tough times in Manipur. But this cannot just be a mere eyewash. There have to be larger issues that need resolution and peace that trickles into every part of the state, where it comes to the two communities feeling safe, and most importantly, to be able to go back to their homes to resume livelihood is the bigger challenge that lies in front of the government. Indrajit, I want to touch upon the other point where Prime Minister Narendra Modi spoke of the message of inclusion. And he said that there was a time when decisions were made in Delhi. It took decades to reach here, but now that is not the case, because now Manipur is progressing together with the country. In fact, he pointed out, highlighting the welfare schemes, where he said that nearly 60,000 homes were built in Manipur under the centre's housing program, providing dignity and security to thousands of families. And he also said that there was a time when tap water a decade ago reached only 25,000 to 35,000 homes, but now it covers more than 3.5 lakh households in the state. Point is that is this the scale of development, the pace at which it is going? Is it reaching out to the people, and are they getting that message from the centre?
Well, there's no doubt about the fact that there has been a renewed focus on India's northeast in the past 1 decade under the leadership of Prime Minister Modi and under the BJP government. So it's clear, it's visible. As I said, the Prime Minister's inauguration of the very, very important railway project today in Mizoram, and the fact that the Mizo capital, Aizawl, got connected to the railway grid, it has taken 78 years, is no joke. That's a reality. Now, that has been fulfilled. So, yes, under this government, there has been a huge push on infrastructure development in the northeastern region. Several of the airports are being developed. Railway connectivity has been boosted. Several very important key infrastructure projects like tunnels and bridges have also been sanctioned. Some of them have been inaugurated by the Prime Minister, be it in Assam, be it in Arunachal Pradesh. So these are critical areas.